Hello and welcome to Expressions, and this is your #1 youth current affairs show. Welcome to the special edition show where we're bringing you the State of the Nation address by the President Cyril Ramaphosa. We are going to be bringing you important conversations around the state of the nation, but first of all, we are touching base with young people of Grabo in the Western Cape who are going to be telling us what they are expecting from the President's address namhlanje. Primarily, we're also addressing some of the social ills that are faced by Ulushalala Mzansi. What do you have to say about the conversations that we're having? Do interact with us. Let's take you to Grabo. Coming to you from the outskirts of a Western Cape, Ekapa, it's Grabo. This is a township that we've decided to make our focus on this particular episode, where we're placing an emphasis on one of the biggest social ills at Dibanina Bantabasha, and that is unemployment. Hot off the heels of the State of the Nation address that will be delivered by Umongameli wa Mzansi Afrika, Babu Cyril Ramaphosa, we are going to be getting answers essentially in terms of what this year holds for the youth and what answers do we have and practical solutions for the youth of the country as far as unemployment is concerned. What do you have to say about the conversations that we're having? Do communicate with us in Enkundleni Zethu Zokuxhumana. Let's go touch base with young people. Welcome to Expressions. It's great to have you on the show, Bafethu.
Oh yeah, how are you, Nkospa?
Yeah. Hey, Bafethu, so namhlanje showing sikhuluma nge-unemployment because nayi State of the Nation siyeza naso. Mandi, wena uyi-unemployed graduate, mfethu, uma ungasitshela isitori sakho?
Oh yeah, I'm unemployed at the moment, because you know, most like when engineering, because it's quite difficult to find a span, because even like company as corner around, they're not paying much, man. And for electrical engineering, most you deserve better because like you graduated for that, and so you deserve ukubhatala imali enough. So apekasi azibhatali kakhulu and esinqabile bangathi azibhatali because kunqabe kwawuvela ufumane span.
When I'm for seasonal worker, right? So kusho ukuthi umsebenzi uthola mhla uthola or whenever available ngaleso sikhathi leso. Ama challenges wakho njengomuntu omusha oyi seasonal worker emabe.
Yeah, yazi bhuti maninzi because ngoya ukhula ungumuntu ujongana nengxaki ziyakhula phela lifeini. So apho usebenza even ngoku ngoFebruary kasebenzi ndilinda kuvuthwe ifruit apha ezifama then nizosho niqashwe ngoMay isizini iphelile phinde kwaphela ngesibhani. So kunjalo kunzima yazibubona basihlala kwindawo ezinjani apha akonto ilula and sawusebenza apha uzophela isibhani ngoMay phelile apile apha kunendawo uthosa seCrasdale kufuneka uye kuyo ngapha phinde uqwaye yonke into yakho apha kwezokusihlala kuzo uyosebenza phana futhi ngenye isizini aliphokoze ngoOctober phelele isibhani phinde ubuya back uzolinda next year uzokhona usebenza. So ama challenges sijongana nawo ke ngozezo ngxaki ezinjalo because usebenza uthi uboqala ubudget akuphela umsebenzi kuphelile ngawo sinezo ngxaki ezilolo hlobo. Zingxaka ezifana noba uthi ufuna umsebenzi ubone bukhona but ungakwazi uqashwa ube ubone bakhona abantu abasebenzayo ongabazi like awubazi njani ububone bangabantu bokufika fine ibhlungu lonto kokuqala. And sometimes ufumanisa ba ezinye izinto like qualifications zobusebenza pha unazo abantu basebenza pha abanazo next. So zingxaki ndijongene nazo mna apha.
Let's talk about you and indima yakho as a community leader. Omunye wabantu abasha that have decided to also do something instead of mhlambe ukulinda for government. You've decided to do something.
Yes. We're trying so hard to make what we want happen. As the person that I am today, I would love to see Grabo well developed and the youth of Grabo being exposed to a lot of things. I'm trying to make a park for the community here so that we can have our kids in one space whereby we know it's a safe space for them to enjoy themselves after school. So we're just sitting there now waiting for them to say, okay, you can do it or not, because we can't just go on and do something without the authority from the government, because once we do that, later on they can just take that thing that we did down.
Yeah, let's talk about mhlambe as umuntu omusha that's taken the initiative emphakathini wakibo to make a difference. Udibana nama-challenges kunjalo. What are those challenges?
The challenges esizifisa yothina apha, especially abantu abakwi-entertainment, it's being taken for granted, as if what we're doing is not going to go anywhere.
Even from government?
That's your one, nothetha ngayo ke, but the government is the worst when it comes to support, when it to us this side. I don't know why, because you see kwezinye ilokishi development ikhona, people are getting things, sponsors and stuff, but this side kunzima nyani.
Umbuzo ke futhi lo sibuza namhlanje is whether does a state of the nation talk to you as a young person? Does it talk to you nama problems akho njengomuntu omusha?
I don't think Sona is speaking to us, or like I don't even know Sona.
Yeah, and that's the honest truth, and this side?
They're gonna do promises as needs, but ezingezukwenzeka nto, like bazothetha ngoku and in 2 years ayizobe ingenzekanga nenye into bazoyipromisa ngoku. Yeah, so they just promising, they keep on promising, akho kwanto uzokwenzeka. I'm telling you, uzobona now.
So from these gentlemen, Sona doesn't speak to them, so it's a no. So we continue on this quest to get answers as far as the state of the nation is concerned, especially with youth problems. We are addressing unemployment on the program today. We're taking this to Parliament. Let's go.
Good afternoon to the viewers of Expressions. Welcome to it. My name is Awonge Dulas, and today I will be your street journal, and we are in Cape Town ahead of the Sona. So we want to find out from the youth if they feel that the state of the national address speaks to them. If not, what is it that they're looking for?
For me, I would really expect them to work more on corruption. Because if they're taking everything from us now, what are we going to have left with as the youth of South Africa? And I feel sorry for our future generation. I feel sorry for myself because I don't know my future. I don't know if I'm wasting my time at school. When I'm done with school, I graduate, I get my diploma, I get everything. And then when it's time for me to go and get a job, I should know someone to get there. It's wrong. It's wrong.
I want the president to touch on the fact that it's very painful ukuthi i-youth yamanje doesn't work, and because of corruption, high unemployment rate.
All I expect them to do is to make a country a better place for us to live in and safe.
Mr. President, I would like you to speed up the service at the Home Affairs.
Mostly, I would like him to talk about jobs, because many people lose their jobs. Yes, and one of my family members had affected them very badly because they didn't have any income and they had to depend on some people or on a mashonisa, mashonisa.
Unemployment, sifuna imisebenzi, President.
The education, the unemployment, the uncertainty with the fifth wave now coming. So what does that mean for our students? What does that mean for people who just got back to what they call their norm?
A lot of people in our generation have literally given up on the government, because in every year when Sona starts, they don't see any change. That's the thing. We don't see any change.
We just definitely need a new government in place. These ones, they have failed. We have given them a chance, but they failed. So there's no need for them to do the Sonas and all the addresses. Basically, we don't need them.
We're looking forward to the government speaking about the financial exclusion that's being faced by most students right now. A lot of us couldn't register for school, and it's quite stressful because that then affects how we're going to graduate at the end of the year.
Clearly, there's nothing that's being done, and they need to be more proactive and not reactive with the issues that we bring forth to them.
A lot of people are complaining about the unemployment rate as well as the tertiary education system and how the students are struggling and suffering. What are you guys' thoughts on social media?
At this moment, we are lying with a big number of unemployment, and the other issue that is there is the crucial skills list that is actually now happening, but is being compiled by Home Affairs instead the relevant department, which is the Department of Labor, because they do know of how many unemployed graduates we are sitting with and how many people are actually lacking which skills. So it can't be that Aaron speaks this language and then Tulas speaks the other way. And it's just a scapegoat because we are going around the same issue without the president resolving the issues that we have in the country.
Welcome back. You're still watching Expressions. Now, at the heart of the heels of the State of the Nation address, we are still here in Cape Town City Hall, where we are bringing you all the important conversations around the State of the Nations and what this means for the young people of the country. Let's go meet some of the thought leaders. Okay, we are now joined by the leader of the ACDP, Baba Kenneth Meshwe. It's great to have you on the program, Baba. I just want to know, what is your take on what should come out from the State of the Nation for the youth today?
When we think about the youth that is qualified, that has diplomas and degrees, and yet cannot find jobs, that is obviously heartbreaking. We are hoping that what the president will say today will cause the unemployed young people to have the assurance and not to go to extreme measures and not to show their frustrations. Because many times we have been saying that unemployment in South Africa is like a ticking bomb, and we don't want that bomb to explode.
It's very difficult to see what the president is going to do with this country now. You have to understand that there's no money, there's no employment, there are no schools, medical care, people have nothing. And all these floods that are hitting communities left, right, and center, it's a very, very depressed situation.
The focus must be on economic recovery, but that must be underpinned by infrastructure-led economic recovery, wherein the focus should be on the basic needs that our people have been crying for: water, electrification, bridges, especially in rural areas, road infrastructure, health centers, as well as schools. So if we do that, it will make people not to be queuing in post offices for 350, but also if people work, it then grow the economy.
Ultimately and fundamentally, four things need to happen. It needs to account for the commitments and promises of last year, and then a particular focus for the IFP this year is the economy, recovery, job creation, particularly for young people. We've got heightened unemployment, inequality and poverty. The second point is it really needs to focus on infrastructure development and maintenance to ensure that the conducive and enabling environment for business to operate and actually invest takes place. The third point is that we need to empower local government. Less than 10% of the national budget currently goes to local government, and we fundamentally believe that development happens at a local level. All development is local. That's where the tire hits the tar. All these elements combined, of course, pushing back on corruption and ensuring the functionality of SOEs, particularly ESCOM on the electricity challenge that we have, is what we fundamentally believe will be the biggest step in the right direction to ensuring job creation and job sustainability and the recovery of the economy, particularly for young people.
What Mr. Ramaphosa is known for, it is to make empty promises. Since 2018, he's been making empty promises. There's nothing tangible that has come out of his sonas. He's promised bullet trains. Where are bullet trains now? He's promised smart cities. Where are smart cities now? He's promised million jobs. Unemployment is increasing. Therefore, any person who wants to dream can just expect Mr. Ramaphosa to do something else, but what we're expecting from him, it is absolutely nothing.
He will definitely speak about the huge, massive public infrastructure program that is going to respond to the issues of unemployment and particularly targeted to the youth and young people. And for us, that is very important because when the economy and the employment is created, it also is the level of crime in society.
Young people in this country have to understand that education is vitally important. And I say this as someone who is only a matriculant. Those who can have tertiary education, go and get your tertiary education. But remember, there are people that can train you. And if by any chance you cannot have tertiary education, there are still other opportunities for jobs. You don't need only a tertiary education to get a job in this country. So let's start looking at artisan programs so that we have people who are real electricians, real plumbers, weavers, real tilers, some real artisan kind of jobs. And that's how we start rebuilding our young generation and getting them into the workplace. But a tax incentive to companies to employ young people and to train them up is definitely the way to go.
Natasha Mazzoni from the DA, thank you so much for your time. And that's where we leave it for this particular segment. Muntomusha, what do you have to say about the conversations that we are having on the show? Do interact with us in Kundlenzethu Zokuxhumana. Expressions returns after this. Welcome back. You're still watching Expressions around youth unemployment. This is when we now still at Parliament to bring you the State of the Nation address by the President of the Republic, Cyril Ramaphosa. What do you have to say about some of the conversations we're having? We're just about to now bring you some of the key thought makers as well as reaction from the various political parties. Do participate in Kundlenzethu Zokuxhumana. Minister Nzimande, great to have you on the program. First things first, I want to know from you, do you think today's State of the Nation speaks to some of the youth problems that we've seen in the country?
Yes, absolutely. You know, I must say that on my side, I am very pleased about the President's emphasis on creating opportunities on what is often a very difficult transition, especially for young people from my sector, the post-school education and training sector, to transition from learning to working. The President paid a lot of attention today on internships, learnerships, including the much important, sometimes called in-service training, especially for those TVET college graduates who have finished their theory, but they are sitting at home because they've never had a chance to get a workplace experience. Some of whom actually, if they get that, they will be able to go to trade tests as artisans, and many others will get work exposure that will enable them either to start their own small initiatives or to actually get employed. That has been a very big missing link, and particularly the President's call to the private sector, to industry, to say that we can do so much as government when it comes to skills, to provide formal theoretical education. But unless that is accompanied by work placement, especially for the TVET college sector, we are not going to make the kinds of advances that we need to make.
Minister, before we let you go, also funding in higher education institutions is also another hot topic. We just want to know, how far are you in terms of addressing and ensuring that everybody gets the funding that they deserve to get, especially with the issue of the so-called missing middle?
With NSFAS, I must say that I'm very pleased that we are going to be funding every NSFAS qualifying student who has been admitted into a recognized program at a college or at a university. That is very important because those are the children of the working class and the poor, which is the priority of government. With regards to the missing middle, those who fall outside the funding focused by government, we are at the moment engaged in fairly extensive discussions with the banking sector and other financial institutions to work towards what South Africa desperately needs, which is an affordable loan for higher education. Because many of the students and parents from that category of those who do not qualify for NSFAS but cannot afford end up with the mashonisas, the loan sharks who are taking their money. What we are working at now is towards an affordable, open and transparent scheme to ensure that there is affordable access to support to university or college education.
So are you at all convinced, Minister, with the President's State of the Nation?
Yes, it's quite a powerful speech, growth-oriented, and I'm happy with it. Focusing on growth, it is an important thing in order to deal with the challenges that are facing our country. This issue of transition to work, already the Department of Higher Education has got money available from the SETAs, which is going to help those 10,000 people. There will be 10,000 others being back into digitalization, the Home Affairs. There will be a whole range of other interventions. Those are practical resources will be made available to give effect to them.
The most critical fundamental issue announced today is that
Guys, let's work together with the private sector, because if you want the state to employ, you are going to come back here to Sona and complain about a bloated state. But jobs must be created in the state, but mainly must be created in the private sector. Firms must be open, firms must be supported, small and big. But the small ones are likely to create more jobs quicker, and they must be supported, and that announcement to me is quite fundamental.
The President has listed all the directives of what is supposed to be interventions this year. You know what it does to my department? It gives us a responsibility to develop a framework of making sure that all what the President said today is being implemented, is monitored, is evaluated, and we escalate timelessly. And we're going to make sure that no stone is unturned.
Now let's talk about unemployment, which is another burning topic in the country. Spoke about the youth and how opportunities will be created for the youth. Are you at all convinced about this, or you feel it's another talk shop?
It's another talk shop. We are not convinced. Anyway, there's no way that this government has ever tried to address the youth issues. They have always been addressing the youth issues on the perspective of a political party. Hence the Msobomvu, Youth League, all those things that are addressing the youth, that are told to be addressing the youth. Truth is they're addressing the youth of the ruling party. And remember, as this country, we've just overtaken Brazil as the most unequal country in the world. Now, it is not convincing. Unemployment will never be addressed until the land question is addressed in this country.
I really think the President made a good effort tonight on the economy and was taking it out of the DA playbook. All the things the DA's been talking about for decades. Cutting red tape, creating a conducive environment for business and investment to take place, recognizing that the state is not the driver of growth in South Africa, and that you need to harness the private sector. That is a significant departure from the previous approaches of the ANC, certainly. It was a very broad brush approach. I don't think it drilled down necessarily into why we have the world's highest incidence of youth unemployment. I happen to think it's linked intrinsically to the education system and the opportunity side of the economy. We have one of the worst outputs in terms of education in the world. Lowest maths and science continentally, amongst the worst, and certainly internationally. And I don't think there's enough focus on equipping young people at a school level with the ability to be able to upskill themselves with skills that they can then use in the world of work that's required there.
Unemployment continues to be an issue in the country. Are you at all convinced with some of the solutions that the President has tabled tonight?
Well, as he made a call for everybody to be part of it, indeed, if all those things, as we always said, that South Africa has got good policies, things will have to be implemented. Things like the young people being demanded, the experience will have to come to an end. The red tape of people having to get that and all that will have to come to an end. The small businesses will have to be given the opportunity by municipalities, metros and all that. If those things are done and are followed accordingly, life will be better for everybody.
But the problem is the unions has too much power. Secondly, we say stop black economic empowerment. And thirdly, we say stop affirmative action. Then you will create jobs in South Africa.
Well, one thing I must say as the IFP, we welcome the fact that the SRD has been extended for another year. Although we would like, to see a community that's being built in South Africa that can work for themselves, self-help and self-reliance.
Well, a big part of it is, of course, the practical work to get the business community to increase levels of investment. And we've had some successes on it. So to the extent that the President is really saying we're building on those successes, I think it's a credible, it's a practical, and it's a realistic work program.
Well, that's it for tonight's installment, the special edition of Expressions Namhlanje. We've brought you some of the happenings of the state of the nation, but most importantly, we've highlighted some very important issues, ikakhulukazi when it comes to youth issues. Khona la eMzansi. We thank you so much as well for your participation in Nkundla Zethu Zokuxhumana. From all of us here at Expressions, we wish you a spectacular evening going forward. Nsale kahle.